Hey Middle Isle team, welcome back to another guide documentation video, and today I'm going to be talking about how we're getting the character models, our custom character models, into the game, rigged and ready to be animated by the animations I talked in the last video, no matter what model they were animated on. It's all designed to work seamlessly with each other. And so I'm also going to be talking a little bit about how we're going to test our models, make sure they look good in the engine, and then how our rigging pipeline is going to look going forward, because this is not like where we're going to land, mostly because the rigs made from this process are basically unusable, and also because they're not very good. They don't end up looking very good, but they're good enough for testing. And they're good enough to start as a baseline so that we can make sure that our rigging works with the humanoid avatar system from Unity. So right now I've got Tati's version of Lisa, the Lisa model that we've got right now, loaded up. And Tati did a really great job, but it is just a first pass, so you can expect plenty more detail and design and texture and all of this, as well as it's a first pass on the character design. She's going to get redesigned also as soon as we go into the semester. But all I've done is I've merged her into one piece of geometry. It's not airtight, but she is one complete piece of geometry. She's got no groupings, and she's got no history, and she's got no transforms. She's just right here, just like this. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just demonstrate the human IK auto rig. Now this doesn't give us great results, but it's good enough for testing. So this is what you'll be doing when this is what, like, say Tati will be doing when she finishes a new version of Lisa, and then she wants to test out how she looks in the game with the animations that the animators will be working on, without so much polish, right? It's just a baseline test. So what we're going to do is we're just going to auto-rig her. So I'm going to hit auto-rig here. It's the one-click version. I'll go by this step-by-step later. But that'll just load everything up. And we'll have a version of her rig that is not great, but good enough. So the elbows are really low, the shoulders are really low. There's some weird stuff going on with the hips, and in general, these rigs don't work very well. Jinju tried animating on one of the ones for the swordswoman and said that it was basically impossible. But the important thing is that the bones that these rigs give us line up perfectly with the bones on the Unity's humanoid avatar system, and I'm going to demonstrate that in a moment. But what we're going to do is we're just going to grab, so I hit auto-rig, it auto-rigged. I'm going to grab the model, and I'm going to grab the bones. That's it. That's all I need. And I'm going to export them with the regular export selection. And we're going to export as an FBX, really similar to how we did for the animation. So I'm going to say edit preset. And all of the settings are basically the same, except animation is unchecked, and all of the affiliated settings are all grayed out because they all don't apply. We're still using meters, smooth mesh, all of the basic stuff. So I'm going to export that, and I'm going to export her right to our project assets characters folder. I already did this once, so I'm going to export as Lisa Model 1, Test Rig 2. Say export selection, we get one warning, but it's fine. So now I'm going to go into Unity. Now this is the animation sandbox scene that we talked about earlier. Here, we can close that down. It's got basically all the same stuff. Echoes in here. I think that I've got the basic Mixamo animations on here, or the basic Unity animations on here right now rather than Jinju's. That's why it's having trouble with the animation events, because this is a different character movement script. Everything else is basically the same. And all we need to do to get Lisa working in here is to go to our characters. We can see her right here, Model 1 Test Rig 2, and do the same thing with the rig. We go to animation type and say humanoid, create from this model, and hit apply. And you'll notice we've got no alerts, and that's because those bones that we created with the auto rigger in Maya work perfectly with the humanoid avatar system. And I can actually check that by going to configure. Yeah, let's save that. Right? You remember I had to change some stuff when I was in here for Echo, for the animations. Here, it's just... Oh, it's too small. I've got to, yeah, because the scale was weird going to from Maya to Unity. But basically, everything here is green. Everything here is perfectly lined up. It all just works. Just works. I'm gonna come back in here. So that's all we needed to do, and you'll see that what that got us is this armature avatar configurator shit that it generated. So I'm gonna go to our armature. It's got all of our character controls on it, and I'm gonna go into geometry, and I'm gonna delete Echo, and instead I'm gonna put Lisa in here. Just drag her into the same one. Oh, I've got to scale her up also. Let's say 20 times. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. And her hands are going to be a little weird because the elbow and the arm thing, and also the hands are in the wrong position for my design that I gave to Tati. But she's in the engine, and then all I need to do is go to armature and change the avatar to Model 1 Test Rig 2 avatar. And then you can see, if I play, she's animated with all the correct animations, all working perfectly, except for those hands. And if we had any animations that raised the shoulders, it would be the same. That's an issue, but we're going to work that out in the next version of the pipeline that we're going to talk about in just a moment. But you can see that oh, I can't really show it off properly. Let me grab this here, moving around. And that's like no rigging required. Tati can just do that to test her models, see if they look good in the engine, see if they look good from the camera perspective, what kind of proportions need to change, what kind of textures need to change. I'll be talking about getting textures from Substance Painter in here in a future guide documentation video. But for right now, I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to pop back on over to Maya and talk about the other experimentation I was doing with this process, which is the step-by-step. So this lets us get just a little bit more in depth with the auto-rigging. So I'm going to... oh, come on. Ah, yes, there we go. Hit that. Got our geometry right there. And then we're going to go through the steps for the auto rig, and we're just going to alter a couple of things. And it's going to make it better, but it's still not going to make it perfect. For that, what we need is someone who can actually rig, which we'll get to in a moment. So first for the guides, I'll hit create. And I've got these guides, and I'm just going to move them around a bit. So this is the elbow. I'm going to put it right there, you know, where the elbow actually is, and I'm going to hit, there we go. I'm going to hit these buttons to symmetricalize it. I'm gonna move these. Well, actually, here, let me move this one up here. And I keep on rotating to make sure I'm getting everything proper. Like that. Oh, come on. There we go. I actually have to select them. Yeah, see, so just changing a couple of things will really help us move this here. Really help us to get exactly what we need from our auto rig. And then I can create the skeleton. There we go, looking a lot better. Actually, let me move the hips a little bit. No, I'm not gonna move that center one. Just gonna move this one. It's just gonna help a little bit more. And let me even move the knees up a little bit. There we go. Alright. So now I'm gonna create the skeleton. Create the skeleton. There we go. Looking better. And then I'm gonna create the weight paints. There we go. And that should be it. That should be us done. Yeah. So, from here it's the same deal. Grab the model, grab the rig, or grab the skeleton rather. I'm gonna export. And this is just, again, slightly better way to do the same shit. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the in-depth rigging at the end. And we're going to say export this selection. We're going to export her as test3. And jump right back into Unity. And there she is. We can go to the rig. Oops. Do the same stuff. Can look at configure to actually, oh, this size is still weird, but it's fine. We can look at configure to actually see all of our progress at work. Bones looking better. T-pose looking stronger. More dominant. And then, same stuff. Come in here to geometry, delete Lisa, add in, scale to 20. Add in Lisa. Bam. And then we change it from test rig 2 avatar to test rig 3 avatar. That's it. And then hopefully, she should look a lot better moving around. The palms are still not great. But in general, her pose makes a little bit more sense. So, what we want out of, I can even zoom in a little bit. What we want out of this particular exercise, eventually, and see some of the shoulder stuff, some of the weight painting there is really not great for the idle pose. You don't really notice it too much. Well, a little bit. Anyway, what we want eventually is we want to be able to use the auto rigging and its work at the way that it works so perfectly with the avatar system. as a jumping off point to work on our own rig, make it perfect, like really good, for actual movement in the engine, like actually getting the hands in the proper position, getting the weight painting actually good. We want to use the model for that, or we want to use the auto rigging for that. We want to use the we want to use the old-fashioned rigging for that, and what we want to do with the auto rigging is use it as a jumping off point to get that kind of really good rig working just as well with the avatar system. So we've got a really good rig that our animators can use really easily, that looks perfect in the engine, and that works perfectly with the avatar system, which means that we can use all of this other stuff, all of these other pipeline elements that we've been working with, to continue to test everything at once. I'm just going to zoom back out a little bit. So, we'll be able to... Tati will be able to put her model in quickly with the auto rigging, test it, see what it looks like with the animations, and bring it back out and adjust. The animators will be able to animate, test on stock models. Like we've got Echo, we've got the Xbot, we've got the other robot. See how those work, in addition to on the current version of Lisa. And Noah will be able to test his different rigs with the avatar system to make sure they work well with the animations that our animators have got, to make sure that they work well with the stock animations, to make sure that they work well with the model. And we can do all of this concurrently. There's not going to be anyone on the pipeline waiting on anyone else. Everyone can be working at the same time, and everyone can be testing stuff at the same time, and then ideally everyone finishes at the same time, and all of a sudden we've got a finished model with a finished rig and finished animations all in the game, working before winter is over. That's it for me tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this will help us get this game done really well. How long was that one? That one felt longer.